Talk about a form. A form is a very, as far as I understand, it's a very old element that is still used all over the place. I don't think there's another way to work with inputs. Well, to work with data to be able to submit it somewhere. I just don't. I don't think that's the case. So I love Mozilla is the great documentation of the JavaScript language and HTML for that matter. And for now, we're just going to focus on the HTML. The HTML is this. So rather than using AI, I think I'm going to just go to the docs and I'm going to just copy, paste stuff in. So these are HTML elements, and I can just paste them in here. And I now have a form because I have some CSS going on. I'm actually going to use some I'm going to use some AI to help me with the CSS. So I'm going to highlight this and say update this form with Tailwind CSS styling. Tailwind is a framework of CSS that I use all the time now. And so I'm just going to ask it to do this. I could have done it, but for now, it's just so much easier to let AI handle these things. So that's what it produced for me. So now I have a nice little form that I can use. The form is a div element that surrounds everything. It has some things that we're not going to be using because we're in FileMaker, but it has an action and it has a method. This would be, I think these would be used as far as I understand. Action. Let's see, let's look up what action is. Form action.
Action is usually where it's going to.
That's right. It's a URL that processes the form submission. In our case, because we're in FileMaker, we're not going to use an action. We're not going to give it a method. So I can leave those or get rid of them. We'll do something else in the meantime to get it to go to FileMaker. So it's a form, just got some styling around it. And then it's just made up of different divs. This div right here is the first one. Let's move this over. Which it has a label and an input field. This input field, again, is an old HTML element that is just been around forever. It's got a lot of nice properties here, like required. So before I can submit this, I have to fill this out. Uh, so we got that. Here's another div with another label and element. And then I've got a last one, an input where the type is submit. So these were all, well, that's another attribute about the inputs is that you can have different types. You can have a text, you can have an email, which will ensure that you put an email in properly. You can, so if I do this, if I type in something and then I type in this, it's going to say enter an email address because this doesn't look like an email address. It doesn't have that structure. And there's a lot of other types too. The input, let's just go look at the input quick, see if we can find it.
Jerry, can I just ask you a quick
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
So that functionality that you just demonstrated, where it's going to ask for a legitimate, is how much of that is JavaScript?
It's none because
It's not any.
it's built into the HTML element into this type email
So
tells
you
it.
just get that for free.
You get that for free. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. If I were to change this to text, then I wouldn't get that. I wouldn't get that issue. If I were to change it to, I think it's tell is another. So I could do that and then I could do that. Okay, so tell, is it tell? Yeah, you get a lot for free. So let's look at that input. Input type, there's a lot of type. Is the tell? Let's see, tell. So type tell with that one, I can give it a pattern that I want it to be and say that it's required. So that's nice. I don't know what this does. Let's see what that will do. But yeah, I get a lot. I get all that for free. So do that. Let's just do numbers. da, 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 da. So match the requested format. So yeah, it comes for free.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. And of course, the required, if I submit this without, I need to fill out that field and I need to fill out this field. So I get that. That's nice. Um, so yeah, so this is good. Now they all also inputs have let's go back to email. Also, they have a value attribute, which is, my email@gmail.com. So that's the actual value inside of that form. They also have a placeholder value, a placeholder, which you can see without much work, it's grayed out a little bit, and it lets me type in what I need to type. So the form, the input, we have a lot of possibilities with this.
It- okay, so can I ask this question to
Yeah.
the group? I mean, how you know how long it would take you to make that form in FileMaker? You need a shadow table, you need, global variables or whatever you're gonna do, and then you have to write all the validation. And how many people are just gonna start using widgets like this everywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Am
mean,
I
there are times when it is easy just to slap a couple fields on a layout, but depend on the purpose.
right, right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
All right.
what's good about this is I don't have it set, but this can be responsive by default. So we'll get into that when I add some more fields here. We're going to make a proper form with this data. The latest FileMaker version gave us the ability to write a new record to a table through using the execute data API script step. And so I want to add all of these fields that they would enter to be able to enter a new customer record into that table. So we'll do that in a bit. But then the responsive nature comes in because you have multiple fields and you need to rearrange them based on what device they're on or how wide their screen is. So that's a primary advantage of using a HTML form. Yep. All right. So let's see here. There's a lot about these, and I think it's just worth, looking at the different input types. We can have an image. So, where's the image? Oh, it's interesting. It doesn't. Let's just put a input type. Let's add an input and image input type. Let's see what it does there. And it's just going to look at my code. So there's an upload image. So now I can upload an image and let's just upload something. I don't know what I can upload. Okay, so there's, and again, all this is for free. So it'll accept an image. I guess I could say it could accept a PDF as well. It could accept really anything. Let's see what other types we have.
Would it allow a file that's been uploaded to be downloaded again?
Well, that's a good question.
Back to your machine?
That's I'm not sure. So what we're doing here is we're uploading it into the browser. The browser has it, I think. And then when we submit this, we could grab that file. We would have to base64 encode it, but then we could send it to FileMaker to base64 unencode it, decode it, and stick it into a container field. So once it's, and this is all the context of creating a new record or updating an old record inside of FileMaker.
Yeah.
So
If I already had a document, a PDF or image sitting in FileMaker,
yep.
Is it possible for me then to move that onto a form?
Yes.
And then download it effectively using the HTML download methods instead of the FileMaker download methods.
That's a good question. What I would do is I would if this, so let's say we're editing a record. We have this record here, customers, and this company, they have, like, let's just put an invoice, whatever. That invoice could be put into the web viewer as like a preview or just a clickable link. And you're asking then could I, so that you're updating the record. Then you're asking could I download that record, that PDF. It's probably the case. I haven't gotten there or explored that, but it is possible. I know, yes. So we could if we get there, we'll look in and see how far we can get with it. So anyway, there's a ton of just basic inputs that we could use. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell I want to get to the point of this and work with this. So I'm going to tell my agent that I have, let's see, I'm not going to worry about the modified or the primary key. I'll keep the primary key, but I'm not going to need it. So I'm not going to put a form in. So I'm going to say, this is what's cool. Watch this. I could take a screenshot of this. I could throw it into the agent and I could say, all right, now let's make a form that matches these fields. Use the field label in the image as the name and the ID. If the image label is, let's see, and then I'll say update the label of each form element to be friendly. Let's just see what it does with that. All right, so now I'm just asking it to take these fields and to create a form for it. Let's see what it does. I'll try to match. So see, it looked at my image and it saw the actual fields. And it's telling me what it does. This is what I was interesting. So company name is not a friendly name, but I've used it as the name and the ID, which is great, but I've created the field, the label as company space name. So let's see how that looks.
I'll be back, guys. I got a truck I gotta get.
Okay, you got to unload your truck. Got it. Eric, Mark is his company's everyman. He does everything there. So
I
all
kind
right.
of feel that way too.
Yeah. So this is what I got. This is a one-to-one match to the fields, the relevant fields in this table. Obviously, primary key is not relevant. All right. So great. So now let's pretend this is used for a new record. New record. We'll just put some stuff in here. And now I'm going to change the word subscribe to be submit. Got that. All right. So now they got that. This is one of the downsides of my environment, and I just don't really care about it enough. But if I make changes to the HTML, then it resets everything, which is actually good because I can see all the updates right away. But it's also bad because, I may lose my testing progress. Okay. So I want to use this to create a record. Now it's trying to do a submit, and there's nothing that it's doing. So this is where I'm going to go into my JavaScript, and I'm going to create a function called submit form equals function. And here's what's cool about this is the form element, actually, it's just going to do it for me. The form element in my HTML is an item that I can select using some JavaScript, and I can get the form data out of there. So let's do what that, see what that looks like. Oh, it already did that. Let's see, form, can't find variable submit form. I don't know what that means. All right, let's save this. Let's rerun it. Oh, const, sorry. Let's see, wait, I don't know. Oh, const submit form, const. There we go. Okay, so now it's a function, and we'll do we're going to add to the input ID equals submit. So we'll do const submit submit button equals dot do that submit. There we go. And then I'll say, yeah, I'll just do what it says there. So this is adding a click to this so that that button will run this function called submit form. So hopefully if we do this right, so there we go. So now this function got run, the form submitted came in, and now we can start to work with it. Let's see. So let's extract the data from the form data. See if it can do that. All right. So what it's let's see what this does here. We'll have to see if it works before I explain it, because then okay, so look at that. So it created a quick little function that extracted all of the elements out of here, all of the form pieces, the inputs, and it constructed an object that is the name of it or the ID of it. And that those just so happen to match the fields that are here. So now I'm keeping a connection between this layout, between the fields of this table and the form itself, so that when this data eventually gets pushed to FileMaker, that I can easily match up the fields and create a new record. So let's just finish that off and say, all right, so FileMaker.perform script. We'll call this submit form. And we're going to pass in JSON.stringify the data. This JSON.stringify is important because when JavaScript is working with it, it's not in the form that FileMaker can read it. So we need it to be in that. So I'll go over to FileMaker now, create a new script called submit form, and then variable param get script parameter, and then I'll just do a show custom dialog of param. We'll do JSON format elements param. All right, so let's see this all working. I do need to load it again because the JavaScript needs to be loaded in there. The JavaScript is not loaded even if I save it. Let's just do these quick. Submit, and now a FileMaker script runs with the data from the form, and then I can use that to create a new record inside of FileMaker. So this form is really useful. Now I want to ask it to do something for me. Okay, this form needs to be responsive. So I'm going to ask it to update the form to be responsive. I could do it, but I'm just going to see if I can get it to do it. Sometimes I get this I haven't really explored. It might be just because things are busy. All right, so it made some changes. Let's keep that. It's not done, so I have to wait. It's a little bit slow sometimes. I'm kind of getting lazy. I don't know if I like this so much because I knew how to make the form responsive. I just chose to use the AI, but let's see if it works. No, that's not working because let's see. Let me look at this. Background gray. Oh, I guess this is fine. I mean, I don't. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's do small. I'm gonna just try to fix something manually. So small pixels 10. That's the padding.
Is your web viewer locked to shrink down?
You're right, it is not. I keep forgetting about that because it's actually pretty big. So let's lock it to be that big. Let's see what that does. Although it did stretch, so now let's move it. There we go. So it is doing some responsiveness there. So now it would fit on an iPhone just as well as a big screen. So, yep, good points. Cool. All right. So now I have a form and I'm doing, I'm using AI to help me. I'm also writing it myself because I know how to write it. JavaScript or the AI would know how to do this if I had reminded it of that. If I had told it we're going to send it to FileMaker. In fact, let's just delete this. Let's just see what that does. This data will be sent back to FileMaker. Let's see what it does. Let's modify the submit form function. And that's what it actually did. It did the stringify for me. Now, it's doing one thing that I don't need to do is it's looking for window.FileMaker. That's the JavaScript library that's loaded into the web viewer when it's opened in FileMaker. I don't need to do that because I know that it's loaded, but it's just playing it safe and saying, if it's there, go ahead and use it down here on line 24, else don't use it. But that shouldn't be a problem for it to be loaded because the FileMaker library that Claris made is automatically loaded into the web viewer when I open a web viewer. All right, so now we have a working form that is responsive and it can go into, it could go into production. So this is really useful. The forms are very useful. And I think, to Brad's point, it's easy to create fields like these. But sometimes it's easier just to do this. And if you have AI, it's probably even faster. And
Can you clear the form fields when you submit?
see, does it clear it? Let's do that. I think I would let's see if I can do this without
Or
AI.
if it fails, maybe keep the data.
Yeah,
I don't
let's
know if
see.
you'd want to do that or not.
Form, I think it's form dot reset. Is that what it is? That's what it was showing me. But do I have the form? Let's see. Oh, if it's form. Let's do form data. Let's see if this is right. So if I run this, submit it. Nope, that didn't work. Form. All right, let's ask it. Reset the form when the data was sent back to file.
An interesting thing, real quick, is when you're making that request right in the line there, it's
Yep.
saying that is submitting to ChatGPT 4, and then down here it's saying Claude Sonnet 4.
Where does it say that?
So see where it says
Oh,
edit files in your
yeah,
um down in this chat window where you're typing, it says you're using Claude Sonnet 4
yeah,
and agent mode, right? But when
yep,
you do it in the IDE and you said like that you're going to make a request here, this one says ChatGPT 4.1.
yeah. Because it's actually a good point, and I didn't think of it. I'm asking Copilot. It must be two separate ways to converse with it. The
Huh,
inline is using something different than what I'm using over there. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess I could change that. I didn't know I could do that. So,
Well, I guess my thought was like something that I found really valuable in ChatGPT's is like the memory that it has about everything we talked about
yep.
and the context. And I wonder if you're missing some uh context functionality of it by maybe using two different models, or if this is like they actually don't connect when you ask in two different ways. So that's just so fascinating.
I think that's a good point, but I think that the agent model would scan these files every time and just see if I made any changes. So it may
Right
not.
on.
Um, I always like to do this: review my code and make any improvements. See what it does. So it is current state of your files to understand the full context. Yeah. Form validation, improve error handling, add better user feedback. Nice. Let's see what it does. A lot of stuff. Got a
So
validate form.
I didn't get
Yes.
a chance to. Were you all at DevCon this year?
I was not.
You were not. Bradley, you were. Did
Yeah.
I have just been picking up breadcrumbs about like what they were talking about for the AI integration with FileMaker? Is it like, are they going to be putting a lot of that in?
Yeah, I mean it's substantial. It's like what everything is focused on. So yeah. But
Cool.
again, it's very cool. It kind of depends on again how you're looking at it. They're trying to tackle it from several different angles. So like they're doing little things like the calculation engine will have like a built-in AI thing, so you can talk to AI to build your calculations for you, stuff like that. But then also there's the semantic search side of things, which they're doing more and more for. And then there's the um uh, generation semantic search, but then also just like building out and storing your own local models and then being able to reference them with information and having local
Wow.
models that can study your data. So there's a lot of different angles to like what you mean by how they're integrating it, but they're integrating it in several different ways, and that really is uh, their main focus right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Because
Look at
I'm just
that.
wondering, like, Jeremy, you know how you told me, oh, so sorry, show me what you got.
No, it added some validation to it. I need to tell it which forms, which files, which fields are required, but it's adding these for me already. So that's great.
But
What
I
were
will
you?
say, in addition to that, none of that necessarily replaces the knowledge that we're talking about, the stuff we're getting here, because what they're not investing in is like the arc the structure of layouts and stuff like that, which is the stuff that's been neglected for so long. And so like you can, and I don't think, you could get it to where you could tell an AI to maybe build a layout. That's probably a little ways out yet, and stuff like that, but that's not going to allow you to have columns instead of rows in a list, or like stuff that like cards and stuff that's so easy to do with this. So the more you learn this language, the more you're just better all the way around. Because like I said, I think what they're doing is good, but I don't see it replacing the need for all of this stuff. It just enhances what you're capable of doing with this stuff.
Right, right. The thing that I was wondering is like, Jeremy, you've got this wonderful thing, and then what you had to do is like screenshot it and dump it into the chat. Which it's
Yeah.
great that you can do that, but it's like, gosh, when there is visibility from your AI into your FileMaker structure as well, then
Yes.
it's gonna be such a complete package. I agree.
Yeah.
It's not worth them developing another, character of layout improvements in FileMaker when this exists. But
Mm.
it's just those back end connections
Right.
for all these modern tools that are pretty exciting.
That's what
I
they're
mean,
doing.
the screenshot works great though. Jerry, you just
Yeah.
dumped it in there and
You know, the screenshot thing works even better. Watch this. So if I were to go to this layout and I were to change the theme to, let's pick the dark one. What is the dark one? Tranquil? No, this one. Okay, if I change it to that, then I take a screenshot of this. Update, ooh, update the colors to match this as close as possible. See what it does. So not too shabby. This
gosh.
was This was always the hardest part of working with JavaScript in
Right.
FileMaker is matching what you're trying to design to the theme of the layout with the specific colors and whatnot. But look at that. I mean, that's not too bad for matching this theme, right?
Mm.
Uh, there's a little bit of like there shouldn't be as much roundedness on those, but those are small little things. But yeah, it
But
can
it
match
fits
the
well
theme.
with it.
It does,
Well,
yeah.
and
You
what you
know, it
said
actually,
was match the colors, right? You didn't say
Yeah,
like
true.
make the body parts, right? So like, gosh, it's gonna cue. It's been training me already to like really think about my prompts.
Let's see, to that image in all aspects. Oh, you know what I should do? Let's just do this to be fully good. Let's grab a button here,
Oh yeah, give it a button.
submit, and we'll give it, let's see, let's do the accent. Let's do that one. Okay. I mean, that kind of is the same, but all right, let's take this screenshot. So it's funny because we always get off track in this, and that's fine because this is the future. But knowing JavaScript, knowing how to work with HTML is very useful. The AI is just a good supplement. It's a good thing to get around, not to create stuff quickly for you, so that you can focus on. Oh, there we go. That's a little better, a little bit better. So anyway, this is not a bad start for that form that matches that layout. So anyway, cool. Well, forms are great. I would recommend using them. And I think as it gets easier to, ooh, look at that. Oh, wow. No, I don't like that at all. Wow, it really messed everything up because of the image. Let's undo that. I'm just going to undo that. I'm going to stop it and then just hit undo. All right, so I can go in. This is where I would probably go in and say, find the word rounded, because rounded, we'll do rounded large, and we'll do, let's see, let's just do none. See what that does. Oh, that was that. The inputs, does it have a rounded? Oh, border gray, rounded MD. Okay, so let's find the rounded MDs and change those to nothing. Replace all. There we go. All right. So there we go. It's a little closer. Definitely a little closer. So, and that's okay because this is a form, it's a fill out form. It could be a card window. It doesn't need to be exact, but it should be in the same ballpark of colors. So good. Forms are useful. And I think as AI gets easier for us to use, we could throw it a layout with some fields on it and ask it to construct a form for those pieces of information, those layouts. Good. Well, this is fun. I would encourage you to just explore using forms. There is a library called Survey.js. I think you mentioned that, one of you mentioned that, or Survey.js. Survey.js is a library that pre-builds forms for us. I've used it a few times for clients. I think it's great because you can choose themes, you can choose a lot of things. And what's cool is that the form is built from JSON. So you pass it an element array, and then this is the structure. Wait, what is this? Pages. So here's the elements, input type. So here's one form element that you could pass to it. And you just build your JSON either with FileMaker or programmatically or just hard code it. And then this library will render it out. very simply and easily. So this takes a lot of the work out of it, but it's still fun to actually create it. And if I knew that I needed to create a new record entry for this layout for this this table, I might just hard code the values, and because this isn't that difficult to create, especially with some AI help. So very cool. All right.